Today in the studio, folks, I got a real treat for you. Especially if you operate a business, you intend to operate a business, you're looking for love, you realize in this world you're never getting anywhere by yourself, because this dude wrote the book on gifting, Gift-o-logy. John Ruhlin, what's cracking?
Here to speak. I'm excited to hang with you for a bit.
Well, I am excited to have you here because, again, I think gifting is a skill. You know, there's a big difference between, you know, sending out a fucking cheese board, right?
Yeah.
I'm telling you. And, you know, really thinking about it. And not only that, dude, it can open some doors. Like, dude, I'll give you an example. And by the way, folks, if you guys never heard of John, that's because, you know, he's an author and he has a freaking agency behind the scenes. He's helping all the people you have heard of impress other people and build relationships. But if you have heard of him, you already know. If you read his book, Giftology, he is ultimately, I would say, the expert on how to, you know, love and treat people correctly with using gifts. How do you buy people? And it works.
Well, I mean, you can call it buying, you can call it bribing, you can call it,
I call it gifting.
It's making social capital deposits in the relationship.
Sure is. And I'll tell you a story. And you guys follow him at John Ruhlin, Ruhlin, silent H.
Silent H. Just make sure.
Like he's ruling the world, Ruhlin, John, John. Follow him on social media. You can also go to johnruhlin.com. Pick up his book, Giftology, all over. It's sold to probably 1 billion copies. Someone gave it to me as a gift.
There you go. Somebody
lame gift, right?
It's not what I wouldn't call that a love bomb, but I'd call that a maybe a mini one.
Dude, sometimes, believe it or not, I think a book is one of the best gifts you can give somebody because what's in that book could bring them, you know, salvation.
Yeah, it's true.
Could be a sales book, could be a life changer, could be a dud. But if you can learn how to give gifts better, I promise you, folks, this is coming from me, not him. I promise you, if you learn how to give gifts better, you're going to sell more. You're going to have more friends. You're going to be liked better. You're going to have a network of human capital to leverage beyond anywhere you've ever imagined. I, as an example, am a pretty good gift giver, but it's usually few people. I spend a lot of time and I can't scale that. So I would like an agency like yours where I just call you and say, dude, here's a budget. I've got 50 top clients. I want them to feel special. And then from what I understood, you'll go figure out who they are. And because I don't want them all to get the same damn thing. Because to me, like, that's the gift basket. That's the cheese board. That's what I did for Christmas for years.
Yep.
I'd go get a fucking cheese board and a cutting board that had light speed burnt into it. Well, the reason why is because, like, it's a cool little cutting board and people use cutting boards, dude.
They do?
Yeah. And so the Lightspeed obviously is my brand. So it's cool. And I give them out. People are like, oh, these are great. These are great. Thank you so much. And then I'd get Dom Perignon for like a level up and they'd get Dom and I'd just inscribe their name on it. But you know, again, everyone got the same thing. It wasn't that special.
Yeah. Well, I would, can I reverse the hot seat and can I walk you through
Go for it.
Some thoughts? So when we're doing gifting, even if we're sending the same gift to 10,000 people, 50 people, it doesn't matter. We don't allow people to put their logo on it. And here's why. You love your logo because it's you. It's who you are. It's your blood, sweat, and tears. It's your brand. It's your identity. It's your heart. But the person who's receiving that on the other end, what do they care about? They care about their own name, their own brand, their own brand. So you get people like, John, we want to send gifts to our top 100, you know, dream 100 clients or partners, whatever else. And like, we got this cool logo. And I'm like, is it as cool as Lululemon that spends $1 billion to make their brand cool? And they're like, probably not. And I'm like, is the logo going to add value to it? Or is it going to take value away? 99 out of 100 times, it's going to take value away. Like,
sure.
And so we don't allow people to put logos on. People are like, wow, how are they going to remember where it came from? I'm like, if I give you a Rolex, would I have to put my logo on it, Giftology, for you to remember where it came from? And they're like, well, no. And I'm like, if you give a world-class artifact, if you give crappy stuff from China, slam your logo on it. That's swag. That's not a gift. That's trinkets. It's promotional products. And so a lot of people have confused what a gift is, which is when you're talking about like hand selecting something for somebody and making them feel special, whether that's your spouse or your client, like there is a recipe, and most people try to blend a gift with marketing and they ruin it. You know, they give a polo shirt with a logo the size of a softball. Nobody wants your freaking polo shirt with a logo the size of a softball. That ends up at Goodwill. You spent.
Dude, I agree with you. Matter of fact, if I called my assistant in here, ask her how many people send me gifts.
It's not a gift.
And it's their fucking hat,
Ugh,
the logo, or it's a shirt with their logo.
makes me throw up in my mouth.
All I do is I hand it back and I go, see who wants it. Because, you know, someone around here might want it for a workout shirt or something, but I am never wearing your fucking shirt or your fucking hat. Now, unless it's stone cold cool. Now, again, Lions Not Sheep's a good example. You know, that's his logo, but that's his business apparel brand. I don't have a bunch of Lions Not Sheep or, you know, Ed Hardy or anything like that, but that's a brand.
Yep.
You know, Ed Milet, Max Out. Like, you know, if I believe in that whole philosophy, I might wear Max Out. But if I saw Ed Milet Incorporated, right?
Cheese ball,
I
right?
ain't fucking wearing it.
It's
I don't
full.
care how much I like the dude.
No.
So I give them away. So, dude, you're right. You're 1,000% right. Like today, I got a fucking gift from someone I fucking let downstairs to my training center and use it for the weekend. And he's a nice guy, dude. He just sent me a gift.
Yep.
You know, with a thank you card, handwritten and everything. And she pulls it out, and it's a shirt with his logo right here.
Billions lit on fire.
Yeah, but like, dude, if he would have just like went down and put my logo right there.
Yeah.
Hey, I noticed you never wear any Lightspeed shit. I wanted to get you something with your name on it. I might wear it.
Maybe.
I would love it, but I'm not liking your logo on my shit. And those trinkets, dude, every time I get those trinkets at the conventions and the bullshit, I don't remember where I got it other than the convention.
Yep.
You know, because we used to go do these conventions and I'd get these rubber bouncing balls with the lights in it. And when someone was walking by, you could bounce the ball towards them and they'd, you know, catch it.
Of course.
And then they'd go, you know, and then they'd throw it in their bag or they'll bounce it and walk off with it. And on the ball, I put Lightspeed on one side. And then on the other side, I said, we got balls.
It's a fun touch.
Yeah. So they laughed, they giggled, but nobody gave a shit. I wasted frickin' $1 a ball or whatever I paid.
Yeah.
I don't like the swag. I don't think it works. Do you?
No, I mean, not with the people that you really want to influence. You know, people are like sales reps and financial advisors are like, why don't I get more referrals? I'm like, because you're not memorable. You don't have a story to tell. Like, you want referrals, you need to have people when you're not around tell stories about you.
Yeah.
And if you give crappy stuff with your logo on it, people that are worth 6, 7, 8, 9 figures, like, nobody cares. So
what about these boxes that show up that are all about you and your product? They're like really well done packaging and everything. Got a little soaps, but it's still their stuff. What do you think of those?
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I think I would rather give somebody a random thing like a luggage tag. But I'll spend $100 on the luggage tag. People are like, that's a lot of money for a freaking luggage tag. I'm like, exactly. You'll give somebody a $500 watch that's a Seiko. Meanwhile, you and I are both wearing Rolexes. Am I going to take my Rolex off and put your Seiko on? But you spent $500 on it. You're proud of it. Give an Apple Watch, $1,000. You're proud of it.
Are they $1,000?
I think the top of the line ones are. I don't wear one. I don't need another thing to distract me or whatever.
Dude, if your
else.
fucking watch is named after a fruit, don't buy it.
But how many people will go and say, I'm giving something cool? They'll slam their logo on it. That's strike number one. It's mediocre at best. It's what they could afford. Meanwhile, they're dropping $5,000 on bar tabs in Vegas for their clients. So they'll spend $5,000 over here, but $500 is their cap over here. Or they're hiring employees. They'll hire 2 employees because they're growing fast. They'll add $150,000 in overhead like that. They'll make the decision in 5 minutes. Same company, you're like, when's the last time you invested $150,000 in your top 50 relationships? And their eyes get real big because they're like, we've never done that.
Yeah.
Same $150,000 for a small business. That's a lot of money, but they'll hire people and add the overhead, fixed cost. And then over here, they're giving out, rubber bracelets for 50 cents.
Or cheap pens.
Or bottles of wine.
When you leave here, I'll show you our pens. It's a good looking pen, but it's still got my logo on it. But you only get them here. I don't give them out. I'm like, thanks for coming in.
It's cheeseball, but people do that. They'll show up to a meeting. They'll hand them something. Hey, thanks so much for taking the meeting. Here's a sleeve of golf balls with the logo. Like, seriously? Like,
golf balls ain't bad because you're going to crack those fuckers anyway.
right. But it's still like, do you feel like super special and seen when somebody gives you some golf balls? Are you like,
no,
are you going to tell the story a year from now?
No, but they're useful. Meaning I'm thinking of just straight utility.
Yeah.
Like I sent Ed Milet, because me and him are like freaking, buddies.
Yeah.
There wasn't a gift to get in with him or anything.
No.
It was just, I know he golfs a lot.
Yeah.
So I put Max out on a bunch of fucking Pro V golf
Pro V1s.
balls. Yeah, I sent him a bunch of golf balls. Why? Because he was on my podcast talking about how he fucking loses them, and he'll go take the time to hunt them down. And I'm like, Ed, they're fucking $2-3. Let them go. You got enough money. And he was laughing and he said, no, I just got to get my ball back.
Yeah.
So I just sent him 25 balls because of that.
You were listening. So there's proactive gifting, which scales. I can send something to 100 people, 1,000 people. You can't go have 1,000 dinners with people. That doesn't scale very well. But you can hit 1,000 cities, clients, employees, whatever else. But most people aren't listening for those opportunities to do what I call the crazy one-offs. Like there, you listened. That's a fun thing to tie into. Most of the gifting you should be doing isn't to get in with somebody. It's people you're already in with, but you want to add gasoline to the fire. Most people want to only do gifting to prospects. And I'm like, if you would love on your clients so much that they go talk about you at parties that you're not at, and on golf courses you're not on, and at board meetings you're not at, they will open the doors for you. But so many people want to go and hunt new blood, which is cool, but they're not taking care of the relationships that they already have. That's a good example. Ed's already a friend. You didn't have to do that. You did it because you wanted to. And he probably laughed. And every time he cracks one of those and loses one, he'll be thinking about you.
But I put his logo on it.
But he still remembered where it came from.
Yeah.
Because it was a thoughtful, you were listening during the interview and you took the time to go do something. That's all it is. Like at the end of the day, it's people will be like, John, well, I sent the thing. It was cheesy, whatever, but it was the thought that counts, right?
100%.
And I'm like, that could be, but it's really the thoughtful thought that counts. Like if you tell your wife, like, hey, here's a gift card, go buy your own gift. At least I don't know about your wife, but my wife's gonna be pissed. But if I go and I listen and I go and I know what she wants because I was on Pinterest or I talked to her friends, I earn brownie points because I went out of my way to know what she cared about and went and loved on her. Clients are the exact same way. Your employees are the same way. Like most people just don't take the time.
So how do you get to know other people's clients to determine these things?
So,
like if I say like Grant Cardone's a good client of mine,
yeah,
pays me the big dollars every month.
Pays you a few dollars.
Yeah. Like, I mean, cause in my mind, dude, that's how you do it.
Yep.
Like, oh shit, dude, if you're worth, if you're a $3 million a year account and the wife loves Chanel bags, get her a fucking Chanel bag.
Yep.
I used to, gift Grant and Elena a lot in the early days.
Yeah.
And Elena fucking loved it. She was like, Brad, you are the best gift giver. Cause I would think like, and I would listen and I would get them shit that nobody would get them. Yep. And a lot of times they would get it themselves.
Of course. But what's a Chanel bag cost?
It depends on which one, but 5 G's, 10 G's.
Yeah. So the amount of people that will take a client to the Super Bowl, drop 5 or 10 grand, masters, they'll take them to Mexico, even employees. Hey, you hit a goal, 100 people, Mexico, 5 grand, that's $5 million. They will not invest in a Chanel bag, even though that Chanel bag could be around for the next 30 years. And every time she picks up that Chanel bag, who's she thinking about?
She probably still does.
Subconsciously, even if it's not conscious. When you
or artwork.
Artwork's a great example. I mean, that's
Grant loves octopi. And it wasn't even that expensive. But I walked by this mall and I saw the big old octopus with a 10 key in its hand and it was like an accountant octopus counting money because that's what he was talking about. I freaking had it wrapped up, shipped to his fucking house. It sits there right next to his desk. He said it's his favorite piece.
So most people won't go and do that level of gifting. I mean,
but it wasn't even very much.
No,
I think you have to be. You have to be aware that is an investment. I think people don't do it because they're not realizing that's an investment, dude.
If you look at like one of my early on, I was building a relationship with Cameron Harold. I don't know if you've had him on your show or not, but
see the COO whisperer or something like that.
Yep. Yeah. You know who he is. So he ran one, I heard got junk. I heard him at an EO event early in EO career. And I was like, I want him to be my mentor, my client, my friend, you know, like, and I can't afford his 20 grand a month coaching or whatever it was. So I found out that he loved Brooks Brothers and he was coming to Cleveland, which is where I was living. And I outfitted his hotel room in his size in $7,000 in Brooks Brothers, every shirt, pants, suits, belt, everything. And when he got in, you could tell he didn't want to go to dinner with me when I went to go to bed. It was like one of those travel days where delays and whatever else. And he came down after he saw his room outfitted like a Brooks Brothers store. He said, John, I've had a lot of people do cool things for me, but whatever you want to talk about for as long as you want to talk about, I'm all ears. So I continued for a decade to send him gifts. Almost all the other ones were for his wife, stuff for her. It was 25 grand in gifts. People are like, that's an insane amount. Why did you keep gifting? I'm like, because return on relationship destroys ROI. Everybody wants to measure ROI. If I invest $1, do I get $2 back out? He's produced 7 figures of referrals. Every client he has, every stage he's double booked on. When I was begging to speak for free, he was referring me 10 grand stages. You can't, most of our businesses, like a Grant, you could never gift him enough to thank him for the amount of business or referrals or all the different things. Like most of our businesses don't come down to 1 million followers. They come down to less than 100 people that make or break a company of any size. But we don't invest in them the way that you're talking about because we think, oh, it's weird, or oh, that feels uncomfortable, or what if I get it wrong, or that doesn't matter. And so because people don't understand the power of it, it's an area where people think they're a 7 out of 10 and really they're a -3. And it's an area of opportunity. Most people are pretty good at, if you take somebody out to dinner, you're not taking them to McDonald's, you're going to take them to Morton's. Everybody does. But gifting, most people think it doesn't matter. So they just check the box at Christmas and call it a day.
Not Morton's, but
wherever.
I get you.
You know what I'm saying?
A nicer restaurant.
A nicer restaurant. Yeah.
We're in Vegas, dude.
Strip steak.
Morton's is like a fucking Denny's here.
But for most of the country,
this is cuisine capital of the world.
So what's your go-to place in Vegas?
Well, I mean, there are Morton's, but it's not the best. Depends. Like, am I trying to impress somebody or whatever? Because there's high end, exclusive, like Catch or Yellowfin or like, you know, Rose Rabbit Lie, like ones that you can't. They're not everywhere. Morton's are everywhere.
Yeah,
but as far as like good steak goes, dude, I like, believe it or not, STK and Del Frisco's.
Is STK, is that at Mandalay or where's that at?
It's at Cosmo.
Is that Cosmo?
And then Del Frisco's is a standalone off the strip on Harmon. But
I like Del Frisco.
Del Frisco's
is the one here. I've been to the one in Philly and other places.
It's a great steak, dude. I'll bring a fool to Del Frisco's. But if I got this book, Giftology, is it going to talk about and teach me how to do all this?
Yeah, I mean, we give away our entire recipe. And people are like, I did Giftology, it didn't work. I'm like, did you follow the recipe? They're like, well, I did Giftology-ish. I'm like, if you bake bread 100,000 times, but you don't put yeast in, you don't get bread. And if you don't follow the little things, it's the details. It's the handwritten note. It's the timing. I know before we started filming, you talked about giving gifts at Christmas. I won't let clients send gifts at Christmas. And we own a gifting company.
Why?
Are you in the relationship business or transaction business?
I'm in the relationship business.
Even people that sell toilet paper think we're all about value and quality and relationship, right? Nobody says I'm the lowest cost provider, I'm a commodity, and I suck at my product and service. Everybody thinks they're a relationship driven. We want to allow people to send things at Christmas because that's an obligatory time. I call it no ABC gifting. So no anniversaries, no birthdays, no Christmas. When you send the gift to Ed, it showed up as a just because. When you show up for your wife on Valentine's Day, do you get brownie points? No. It's like table stakes. You show up for your wife on random Tuesday in the middle of July and say, honey, I was thinking of you. She's probably wondering, like, did Brad do something wrong? Like, what the hell's up? Like, this is unusual. And most people are that way. When you show up as a surprise and delight, all of a sudden relationships are like, wow, they did this because they wanted to, not because I sent them a referral. Like, no referral gifts either. She's like, well, I want to say thank you. And I'm like, well, then handwrite a note and say thank you. Send them the gift because you were thinking of them. That's how you can get away with sending the same gift. Like, we have some people, we do these crazy knives. Just talk to Randy Garn. Joel Marion sent him it says $7,500 knife set. Randy's like,
well, that ain't Cutco then.
It was nice. It was Cutco.
Yeah, Cutco's are good knives, man.
Yeah,
but dude, I got the Mac Daddy set of them all. It was only like $3,000.
Well, but we put it inside a $3,000 wood box that had a video screen built in. And then Joel got to communicate his heart of like, hey, this is going to be an artifact. It's going to be passed down. All of the blades had quotes of scripture. There was 80 quotes of scripture for Randy, who's a man of faith.
That's awesome.
And so, you know,
But did you think of that?
we executed the whole thing, man. Did the same thing that we did an even bigger set for a client to send to Tony Robbins, knives. Like that seems weird, but there was 80 quotes of wisdom that Tony had spoken over 40 years. We did the research. The client made this heartfelt video of like future Robbins kids and will be reminded of the legacy that you and Sage created. Sage picked up the phone and called the client, like gushing, like in tears. Like, it wasn't about the stupid knives. They can buy 1,000 sets of knives. It was the engraving. It was the timing. It was the video. All of that. It was the thought, the thoughtful thought.
Yeah. Dude, one time I got a buddy still to this day. I made tons of money with him. And I first met him at a car dealership. I was running a car dealership. He was coming in there trying to sell the car dealership some service. So he just kept trying to get to me because I was the GSM, the one that decided some shit. And so he just kept trying to get to me, and the dealerships were always, backing people out. Well, I got to know him for a little bit. He seemed to be a pretty cool dude. Well, I was starting this company, Lightspeed, 21 years ago. And he came one day in this fucking cool jacket. I forget what was on it, but it was a custom jacket. There was a guy named Jeff Hamilton that used to design Michael Jordan's jacket.
Oh,
I heard about leather jackets are always
talking.
Multicolored Chicago Bull jackets.
Yeah, super over the top.
Yeah. Well,
he does stuff for Drake and all those guys.
Yeah. So that's Jeff Hamilton. So he had a Jeff Hamilton for whatever, and it was cool. And I said, fucking, oh, that's a badass jacket. Dude, I think within a month, I fucking open up the mail. Something comes in the mail. I'm like, what the fuck is this? I open it up. It's a Lightspeed, one of a kind, Lightspeed leather coat made by Jeff Hamilton. Big old Lightspeed claw on the back, freaking Lightspeed VT down the arm. It was, company colors. It was freaking unbelievable, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, from then on, I'm like, dude, this dude's cool as shit. And literally that gift, set up 15, 20 years of doing business together. One gift.
What's the return on relationship of that one thing?
For him, huge, but also for me, because like we both made money together, but it made me wonder, like, why did he do that? Because he didn't want anything.
He did it because he understands the power of investing in a relationship. I mean, in any business, you want referrals, right? You want not just the person's business. Like if you're now telling the story 21 years later, there's a ripple effect of that, right? Yeah. There's a ripple effect to what if product goes sideways or a service goes sideways. You want people to, when you're a giver, people give you the benefit of the doubt. And they're like, service sucked for a day. Hey, Brad's a good guy. John's a good guy. If you're a taker and you're always, you're not a giver, like people are like, they don't want to see you win. And so I think that people don't understand, what is it? Harvey McKay's concept of dig your well before you're thirsty. When you can show up for people and don't have an ask, and people literally can feel that, they see that. Now, 3 years from now, maybe you do have an ask. Maybe it's an investment opportunity. Maybe you need that person to open a door to a show or a podcast or whatever.
Post something for you.
A book launch.
Nowadays, even a post
could be
worth
the
right people. Worth millions. Especially if you're a Kardashian.
But most people don't think. Everybody says it's cliche to play the long game. Most people's long game is days, not decades. I mean, you've been doing this for 21 years. I've been doing this for 21 years. You have to make deposits in people before you need anything from them. And most people have undervalued the power of getting their clients to go out and advocate for them. Like that's, to me, they'll hire an extra sales rep or two, pay them 100 or 200 grand. I would much rather invest in my top 100 or 200 relationships and turn them into sales reps because they're going to sell better than the sales rep anyway, because they're hanging out in the boardrooms. They're hanging out. I mean, I grew up milking goats on a farm. I wasn't around the country club group. I needed to have people go advocate for me because nobody knew who the frick John Ruhlin was. And I didn't have the money.
They were probably thinking you were John Ruhlin.
Possibly. That was, hard name to pronounce. And all of a sudden, like all my, fame and notoriety go out the door.
Well, dude, I had several people call me to get you on this show. This show's blowing up.
It is blowing
By
up.
the way, thank you, Bomb Squad members, for making me the coolest cat in freaking podcast world, other than maybe Joe Rogan. But yeah, it's blowing up, dude. And it's like I get a lot of people calling to want to be on it, but I don't get other people calling to get other people on it. In other words, like you had like 3 or 4 people I know. I think it was maybe 2 or 3 or who knows. It was several.
Yeah.
And I keep going like, well, who the
Keith,
fuck?
Sonia,
Why is
Lisa
everyone
Song.
calling me about this dude? And then as soon as, well, Sonia told me first, and I'd do anything for her. So I said, hey, if it's a favor to you, she goes, well, you don't do it as a favor to me, but you know, he's a really good guy. And And I said, well, who is he? He said, he wrote Giftology. And I remember someone gave me that book and I started reading the book and I'm like, this is a smart book because you can make a lot of sales if you know how to gift properly.
Yep.
Properly. I believe if you don't know how to gift properly, don't give anything because giving stupid shit is worse than giving nothing.
Amen. Handwrite a lot of notes.
And not only that, you're blowing a lot of money. Like, dude, this shirt, it's a fucking Nike shirt, you know, whatever. But like, guess what? It ain't a $3 blank out of freaking Taiwan, dude. It's a nice shirt, but it's his logo.
Yeah.
Dude, he just wasted that money. How much money is he wasting?
I mean, individuals will waste, you know, thousands or tens of thousands. Companies will waste millions or even billions.
But do you think it's their ego?
Well, I think that if you look at all branding and marketing books, what do they say? Like, you know, you got to put your name on a billboard, put your name on a Facebook ad.
You don't
or Instagram
give people
ad.
billboards.
No, but you're trying to stay like they're like, oh, all the impressions.
No one's wearing it.
No, but they don't tell you that, right?
Yeah, but if I gave you a hat that said fucking Brad's Lawn Service and I expect that you're actually going to go wear that, I'm an idiot.
I think there's ego and pride in their brand, right? Even big companies will do the same stupid stuff. I mean, I've seen people give out Bose headphones or, you know, whatever it is, and people are scratching the logo off. Why? Because they don't want freaking Allstate on the side of their head. I mean, NASCAR built a brand around putting logos on the side of cars. I think people think that if they give out stuff with their logo, automatically they're doing a great job of branding and marketing. What they don't understand is that a gift, they would never do that in their personal life. Like you'd never go to your best friend, even the tackiest person would never go to their best friend's wedding and on the Tiffany's vase, compliments of Brad. Like that'd be the cheesiest thing in the world.
That's just what I did.
But we do that in business all the time, right? And we think that we're brand and marketing because I think people, they read the books, they're like, oh, I got to get my name out there. I got to get my name out there. Well, it's not getting out there. And subconsciously, the people are thinking like they have gift guilt. Like they're like, I'm throwing this away. I'm regifting it. Now they feel guilty and bad about it, but they have to say thank you because that's the nice thing, the proper, you know, etiquette thing to do.
I'll give you an example. I'll go in my office right now. Showed up today. He goes by the name of Deed Hunter. This dude goes in, trains all kinds of people to go into records offices and find properties that are about to get tax liened and taken.
Yeah.
And you just pay the tax lien, I guess. So like a property could be worth $5,000 and they owe $290 for the last 8 years and haven't paid it. And someone died and nobody knows. Well, he shows people how to find those and you can really make a lot of money doing it. So I was talking to him at an event. I was co-speaking with him. He just sent this custom Monopoly board, all cool and shit with his theme, a burnt piece of paper with a note that basically said, here, you're now the proud owner of 5 parcels of property in Bentonville, Arkansas. Here's the number. You should be getting the deeds here. These are quick claim. Sent me 5 pieces of property. He said the approximate value of each property is between $4,000 and $9,000 currently. They just came.
That's the
Like,
gift.
that's a fucking gift.
That's
He gave me
piece of
property.
land. Gave you
5.
5 chunks of land or buildings or whatever, houses.
And a Monopoly board with his brand on it. So it said like Deed Hunter, but it's all Indiana Jones looking Monopoly board.
Yeah.
So it's themed, hey, that's cool.
But it's going to,
But the property, that's cool.
that's awesome. I mean, they're not making what's the old adage. My grandpa would say that they're not making any more land. Like it's true. And so like, yeah, I mean, 5, even if these, what's the average value? $5,000
He
times
said
5.
the note said between 4,000 to 9,000.
So, I mean, that's a $30,000 gift. That's a love bomb. That's a
20 to 45 actually, but who knows?
I mean,
And not only that, what if I hold on to it 5 years? What if it's worth more than that? What if someone strikes gold on my property?
in Bentonville, Arkansas. I mean, here's the thing is, when's the last time you got land given to you as a
Never.
gift? So the idea of just even being in that category is pretty freaking awesome. So,
But what about gifts that cost me money? Because now, when you just said that, I thought, well, now I'm going to fucking have to pay fucking taxes every year for this shit.
yeah.
What do you call those gifts? Like, what do they call them? White elephants or something?
Yeah. Well, it's gifts with strings attached, right?
Like if I give you
some...
a horse, like now you got to feed the fucking thing, take care of the thing. Like you don't want to give horses.
I mean, there's always, so I have like a top 10 list of the worst gifts to give.
All right, let's go through
them. So consumables are on there. So alcohol and food.
Don't give those.
Don't give those. People
even if they love it.
Well, so let's say you love wine. I give you a nice $500 bottle of wine. I'm a marketing guy and I'm a relationship guy. I want you to be thinking about me 5 years from now, right? It's referrals, deal flow, opportunity. I don't want you to forget me. How long is that bottle of wine going to last?
For me, 2 days.
Yep. So I get maybe 1 or 2 impressions and I pay $500 for 2 impressions. I give you a $3,000-$4,000 knife set. And then how often are you going to use that? Let's say once a day.
I won't use them, but they're there the whole fucking month, year.
Yeah.
Everything.
I mean, maybe your spouse or whatever else. Most people are using, let's say once a week. That's 50 weeks in a year. That's 50 impressions, 10 years. Now we're talking, 500, 5,000 impressions. I'm going to win if I have something on your countertop that you think about versus $500. People are like, oh, that's great. I don't want things that are consumable. And most of the time when you're giving wine, you're not doing the stuff that they love. You're sending stuff that you love. You're sending cases of Pump Jack. And meanwhile, they drink Chardonnay. So I think that consumables, can be offensive. You send wine to somebody that's freaking, their dad's alcoholic. So there's offense that can be taken. You send food. A lot of times people send sugar and now you're on 75 hard or you're on keto or you're whatever. Now you're like basically tempting them. There's too many things that can go wrong with food and wine and alcohol in general.
And I know you're the expert. I want to add on to that because you're explaining examples. People will come in here nice as hell, bring crumble cookies, and I ain't eating that shit. So, dude, it's almost like it backfires because you know what I think to myself? They don't know me very well.
Yep. Yeah,
they're basically saying, I don't know anything about you. Well, anyone that fucking knows me knows that I don't eat fucking cookies.
Yeah.
I don't eat pie. I don't eat donuts. Like, bring by some fucking delicious keto fucking desserts and I'll be like, hey, like that's thoughtful.
You get me.
But bring me by donuts, being nice as hell, and you just literally damaged my opinion of you because I think to myself, you don't know me very well. We're not really that close.
Yep.
And you try to do something nice for someone.
Yeah. So you're spending money to have a negative impression.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get to.
But most people will never. You may be candid enough to say, "Don't bring any sugar in the office."
I do.
But most people, what do they say? They say, "Thank you." So they think, oh man, people love when I bring cookies. People love when I send my wine at Christmas. People love when no, they don't. They just tell it. The proper thing to do is say thank you because it feels like a douchebag to tell somebody that they don't like your gift. But in business, like all of those negative impressions, like they don't really know me. That's why I send in like on the list is gift cards. Here's a piece of plastic. You have to go shop at this location, go pick out your own stuff. You aren't worth the time, energy, or resources to actually know you well enough to pick something out for you. Here's an obligation to go buy your own gift. Does that make somebody feel special?
Yeah, I don't like gift cards. My wife likes gift cards because you'll probably get her the wrong shit. So she prefers gift cards because then she gets to pick her own shit. So I'm sure there's gift card people that like that. I'm one that doesn't.
There's I think like one of the things that we send out, I say don't send food. Well, I broke my own rule. I was mentoring a girl who started a low sugar or basically no sugar candy company. I love gummies, but I don't like sugar. So I'm like, she started making, it's called Smart Sweets. I sent her, or I partnered up with her and sent out 250 cases to 250 friends. And a lot of them are into like health and wellness and influencers and whatever else. Sent not like a box, a case. And I knew a lot of these people had kids, and getting your kids to eat something that they like that's healthy is hard, like sweets and whatever else. People loved it. Now, how long did those gummies last? They lasted like a month, maybe. Like kids got them, they're gone, it's consumed. So there are times that you can break the rule, but break it intentionally and know what you're doing. Don't go like just nilly-willy, like with dinners and, crumble cookies and whatever else. People just don't put any thoughtful strategy to it. They think, oh, it's Christmas, I need to do something. Oh, it's an event, I got to have swag. No, you don't. Like, to use your resources differently if you want to like show up in uncommon ways for people. You can't just assume that just because you send stuff that like that you're going to get credit for it. Like, to your point, like a lot of times people are spending money to actually damage the relationship. But they have no idea because there's no honesty in gift giving. People are just going to hold those thoughts to themselves most of the time.
Well, it doesn't have to be expensive, does it?
No, I tell
Like
people,
let's say I'm a landscaper and I have a route where, you know, I've been taking care of these homes for years and it's not a lot of money, but you know, I've been taking care of their homes for 10 years. Should you gift those people?
yeah, I think, you know, a lot of, if you're in landscaping, if I'm
For
thinking through
example.
strategic, like a lot of people value their pets more than they do their, like their own selves. I mean, you could do something for somebody's dog or cat or whatever else. And
But
I mean,
should I?
I think that you should, because I mean, if you endear yourself to somebody and take care of like somebody, we have a Labradoodle, and I don't even like Yeti because it's not American made. People think it is. It's like made over in Philippines or China. But somebody sent me a freaking bowl with my dog's name on it from Yeti, and it has. My wife thought it was the coolest thing ever. She knows I hate Yeti, but she's like, "This is thoughtful because it took care of a member of the family." So if I'm a landscape, and the bowl costs $50, I mean, but it was the nicest dog bowl that we had. We don't spend money on dog bowls. Like, so I do think that there's ways that you can be creative with what you're doing. I also think that the handwritten note is so old school. And like, we want to if we do gifting for somebody, the handwritten note is a part of the process. If they won't do handwritten notes, we won't take them as a client, because the handwritten note provides the thoughtfulness, the meaning, the context.
They have to do it.
They don't have to do it. We do it for them.
And by the way, if I get the book Giftology, you're showing me everything to do, but you also have a thriving agency that just does it for people because no one has time.
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather you go do all this shit.
Well, I think most people are like, well, I can just do it on my own. And I'm like, that's fine. Go take the recipe and do it. But most people will cut corners. They'll take their assistant that should be doing other things, and now he or she is outsourcing, trying to repackage things. And, you know, we had a division of UPS hire us to do their gifting. If you'd think anybody could take care of their own gifting and logistics, you'd think UPS could do it. But they're not set up to handwrite the notes. They're not set up to gift wrap and all that stuff. So
Where's your agency at?
I'm based out of St. Louis. Originally, I grew up in Ohio, so our headquarters is still in Ohio.
So what's the website?
Giftologygroup.com.
So I can go there and just dial. You guys will get me dialed in. Is there a contract or no?
It's a year to year. So you pay a flat fee per year to oversee the process and onboarding, and then you pay the cost per gift on top of that. So
You sourced like where to get all the cool shit.
yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly.
Like, I'll give you an example. You know what a Toomey bag is?
Yeah.
Like Toomey.
Mhm.
Well, I have a Toomey backpack. I have several. They're awesome. They're the best backpacks out there. Have you ever used one?
I have.
Well, dude, they're fucking awesome.
They are good.
So I'm doing my Real Success event downstairs, and you know, they said, "Well, would you give away a swag bag?" I said, "Go over to Toomey, get 60 of these backpacks, these blue and gray camos, and then put their initials on the leather tag that they do."
Yeah.
Took them forever, but they went and did it, dude. Everybody's walking around with their fucking Toomey bag. It didn't say Lightspeed.
They don't forget where it came from.
It
And
had their initials.
you personalize. You're a freaking giftologist,
And they
Brad.
fucking
Look at
love
you.
it. Well, I mean, I do it, but that took a lot of time. Like, dude, I want someone like, I like the agency model where like, I just call you guys up and say, "Hey, I'm coming out with this. Here's who's attending." And then someone goes and does the thinking.
Yeah.
I didn't think that they needed a backpack. They all got one. I thought, I love this backpack and I need something to put all their shit in.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be cheap. You know, those are $200-300 backpacks. So I got the VIPs those backpacks.
Yep.
Now, to me, you would have done better than that, because you might have went to each one and said, "Who is this and who is that?"
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that there's good intentions, and then there's a happy medium of, I'm going to go personalize one-off gifts for 30 grand, and I'm going to do something that's thoughtful that scales for 60 people at $300.
Would you source those bags if I wanted you to?
Potentially. I mean, if there's a way for us to be able to personalize them, there's some brands that are ridiculous to work with. They're not good on inventory control, or they won't allow you to personalize the bag or whatever else. Toomey's a great example of somebody that is like, they get it. That's why they have the little tag there. They know the power of, it's not just a bag, it's my bag when I see my initials on it. And obviously you got that. But most people, $300, they're like, what's your budget for $30? And I'm like, a handwritten note. Don't give some trinket, some koozie or whatever else. Like, if you're not willing to invest in it at the level that you're talking about, we defer those kind of clients. If people are like, well, I don't want to spend $300.
So who are you looking for? If someone's listening to this, and you don't want a bunch of people calling you saying, hey, I want to give away $2 gifts. You're looking for people that are wanting to give one-off good ones?
No, it's scalable and thoughtfulness. So somebody that has a minimum of 50 relationships that they value, that they want to invest hundreds or thousands of dollars in per year. So, a typical client for us might be a financial advisor. They have 40 top relationships.
Lightspeed VT.
Or Lightspeed VT. But they want to invest $500 or $1,000 a person. Or somebody that has their top 10 relationships, but they want to invest 20 grand a person. Which sounds like a lot because people they're not used to investing this way.
Yeah, it makes them think like, dude, if I have 100 people and it's 3,000 each, that's $300,000.
Yep. And they're like, meanwhile, they dropped 300 grand on Facebook ads last year, and
or they fail to realize the return on that 300 grand if they do it right.
If you do it well, it should come back. I mean, we have some clients that it comes back 1,000x, which sounds made up, but if you are taking care of the Grant Cardones of the world, or you're taking care of, even on the landscaping side, if you look at the lifetime value, if you're charging 5-10 grand a year for lawn and maintenance and whatever else, if somebody sticks around for 10 years at $5 grand a pop, that's 50 grand. The lifetime value of that relationship is 50 grand. A $50 bowl for their dog, I mean, that's not even a rounding error.
How about cash? Is that ever a good gift?
I think cash is interesting. I ran out of ideas for Cameron after we did 150 gifts. And so I'm like, you know what? He's done so much for me. I'm going to do cash, but I'm going to make it fun. So I got a suitcase full of cash in a metal thing, and I sent it to him unmarked. So he opened it up, cash went everywhere. He loved it. He ended up passing it out to a bunch of his attendees at an event and gave them like $100 in dollar bills to go tip the pool boy or the attendant. They're like, you have to give this money away, but go bless some people. But in general, cash is like a bonus at Christmas just becomes part of the yearly salary that they expect. It's like cash doesn't necessarily have leverage because they spend it. They don't remember where it came from. So I don't think there's anything wrong with cash, but as far as leverageability, if you're trying to take care of a Grant Cardone, yeah, you could send him cash, but he's got cash. You take care of Elena and have her rocking the Chanel bag for 5 or 10 grand. 5 or 10 grand ain't going to make their day.
Especially hard to get ones.
Now all of a sudden you have somebody talking about it 5 and 10 years from now. That's the leverageability. And it's because you went and did something that was, in their case, they might do it for themselves, but a lot of times, $5,000 knife set or whatever, people could afford it, but are they going to go do it? Are they going to engrave it with their favorite quotes?
Not only that, some people with money still don't know what to buy.
No. And they're not waking up at 5 a.m. saying, man, I really got to get myself a really nice bag, or I really got to get myself a nice knife set. They're just not going to do it.
Well, I never would have bought a Cutco knife set. I thought they were wholesale welfare, bad, shit product.
Really?
It's Cutco, But then someone got me a Cutco knife with my little quote on it.
Yeah.
Red handle, which is kind of cool. And I brought it home, and my wife started using that knife on occasion. She goes, "It's a great knife." I said, "Really?" And then I used it a couple of times. I'm like, it is a good knife. And then we were, I think, in Miami at some event I was speaking at. We were walking by, dude, and sure enough, there's a Cutco booth there. I walked up. I said, "How you doing? What's your best package?" He goes, "Well," I said, "you don't need to pitch me. What's your best package?" He goes, "That one." I said, "I'll take it." Just bought the whole set from random dude. But the guy who gave it to me, honestly, I don't remember who gave it to me.
He gave one piece. If somebody gave you the full, 30, 40 piece set, you probably would remember.
Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of times
the guy that gave me the property, I ain't forgetting that.
No, frick no. I mean, that's so
the guy that gave me my Lightspeed jacket, which I still have, by the way. And I still wear, funny enough, on occasion. I still have.
So here's something, what I would tell the guys that are not sure if they're a fit on the gifting side. Most people don't have a plan on how they're going to do this. They don't have a budget in mind. They're just like willy nilly. It's like end of the year, December. I made money this year. I should probably say thank you. And they give their assistant $5,000 and she goes to Costco and buys a bunch of baskets or goes online and tries to find stuff.
Every Christmas, don't you get things from people?
Oh, there's
cheese boards.
Well, people are already typically eating and drinking themselves to death at Christmas. Then you give them more food and then they're stressed out because they're buying gifts for their family and year end and taxes. And if you want to stand out, those are the worst 4 weeks and really anything to try to stand out. It's noisy, it's cluttered. There's even a sucky gift in the middle of March shows up out of the blue. It's semi-thoughtful. It's like, this is the only thing that showed up that wasn't swag or a trinket or a bill. Like a thoughtful gift in the middle. So timing matters. So we try to get people, we'll lay out a plan. I had one client that we laid out a decade-long plan. Once a quarter, this is what's going out. And we laid it out, 10-year plan. Because you can plan out far in advance and say, like, these relationships matter to me, whether it's investors or mentors or whoever. But most people they're more proactive with their planning their vacation than they are with their key relationships that allow them to even have a business. But before somebody goes and buys the book, we'll give away our entire system. Like, they can go to Gift-OLOGYplan.com. They can literally steal our entire playbook, who to send to, how much to budget, what percentage of net profit should be reinvested back into relationships, the entire thing.
What is that number?
Huh?
I was going to ask that number.
How much? On the low end, 5% of net. I don't care what somebody's gross is. You see, like, mortgage brokers are like, oh, I did $4 billion in revenue last year. I'm like, what'd you net? $2 million. All right. That's the number we're going to talk about. 5% on the low end of net, 15% on the high end. People are like, well, I made $1 million last year. That means in the middle of the realm, like, that's $100,000. I'm like, you get to keep $900,000. These people are buying their own gift because they allowed you to have profit. So you reinvest 10% to keep 90.
Who gets it if it's a company, though?
What do you mean?
If you're buying someone $100,000 gift because you did $1 million with them, who gets the gift? It's not always a person. Sometimes it's a company.
Right. So I have some clients that are sending things out to their top relationships, and there's 30 people that they deal with at the company. They got division presidents. They got.
But who gets? Do you get the more expensive the higher they get?
Typically not. I mean, there's sometimes where that person, there's a key person you got to go all in on and do the crazy 25K artwork or whatever else. But in general, a lot of times the people that are influencing decisions or are doing the hard work are the people that are in the mid-level person. And oftentimes, if you double down on that relationship and treat them with the same level as respect as the CEO, they're eventually going to go to another company, or they're going to in 5 years, they're going to be somewhere else. And I can't tell you how many times where people are like, man, I invested in that relationship and they left, they got recruited away. They were the junior marketing associate. Now, 3 years later, they're reporting to the CMO at this other company. And who was the first phone call that they made when they left? They called the person who treated them with love and respect, because most people treat them as like an afterthought. So yeah, there's some companies that will invest $100,000 in one relationship, but oftentimes it's spread out over, a couple different people at that company.
If people don't realize the value of gifting after this conversation, then they're stupid. Because I'm telling you, like, I can think back, Eric, all the people that really got me some good shit were always doing business. People that got me the dumb shit, I don't remember who got me the dumb shit. And someone got me some dumb shit today. And I do remember him because it just happened. But
it just happened.
And they're nice people. So, but guys, pay attention. Like, not only are you wasting money on swag with your name on it that nobody wants, unless it's a kick-ass brand, like Andy Frisella, Andy?
Yeah. I don't know him well. We've met.
Well, I bought some supplements and shit off First Form's website, and he sent me big old box of First Form gear. But it's cool fucking gear, right? It's meant to be worn at the gym. And not only that, First Form's a cool brand. I like that brand.
Well, Andy's done a great job from a culture. He's made the brand cool. Everybody thinks they're Andy. Everybody thinks they're First Form, so they think, no, they're not. And so it's possible.
But that's the exception I'm saying.
That's the anomaly. Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone can't do that. Like, you know, I think my logo is pretty cool. I give away t-shirts sometimes to people. I've had people call me and say, "Hey dude, can you send me a few more of those t-shirts?" And I say, "Sure. Why?" He goes, "They fucking make me look great." They just like it. And you know, what's Lightspeed? It doesn't really say much. Or like this guy, this is a buddy of mine, Ian Went. Do you know him?
No.
You know, he started this with the COVID shit because all that stuff. But Patriot, I can identify with Patriot. I'm a patriot.
Yep.
I can identify with that.
Because
otherwise I wouldn't be wearing his fucking Ian Wentz company shit either.
Ian Wentz LLC.
No. So I'm just trying to get the listeners to understand, like, dude, there's probably a bunch of people out there spending money, a decent amount of money, and it's all going nowhere. Like, why wouldn't they take that money, at least call you and say, "Hey, look, I'm spending $100,000 a year on all this bullshit, from conventions to swag to gifts to Christmas to cheese boards. What do you think I should do?" Can they get a consultation?
Yeah. I mean, I think that downloading the system first and making sure that they actually have their ducks in a row. Like, people come to us like, "Oh, John, I love the podcast. I want to," I'm like, well, can you name your top 25 relationships? Like, "Oh, no. Do you know the value of those top 25? No." So unless they're willing to do the homework and actually like do some of the heavy lifting, because you don't know what to spend or who to send it to or whatever else, unless somebody's identified the list and is willing to like say like, "Yeah, we're going to invest in this. Like, it matters. We're going to do this at a level 10. We're not taking people to McDonald's." And I know you made fun of Morton's, but I mean, if people have a legitimate desire to build relationships and to play the long game, that's the other thing. We won't take a client unless they're thinking years. They don't have to sign a 3-year contract with us. But we won't take on a client unless they're committed to doing this either with us or on their own for 3 years. Because the last thing you want to do is come in like Daddy Warbucks, give great gifts, and then go back to giving crappy stuff 6 months later. People are like, "Oh, that was just a tactic that you tried." That's not who you really are. So people have to think beyond the 6 or 12 months before we're going to engage them. And that's giving them the blueprint so they can start to think strategically on their own is really the first step.
How did you get into this?
I interned with Cutco 21 years ago as a broke farm kid trying to pay for med school. I was undergrad. Out of desperation, I went and sold the knives. And a buddy of mine was a seminary student. He couldn't sell anything, and he was selling these Cutco knives. They have an internship division. I didn't know what it was. I was like, if that guy can do it, I'm going to give it 4 weeks. So I'm 20. I pitched my girlfriend's dad, who's this rainmaking attorney. Super generous. Like, he was giving away $40,000 gifts before, like, it was cool. And no strings attached. So I pitched Paul, this law firm owner, the knives, thinking all of his clients are CEOs of big companies and they are into hunting and fishing. It's Ohio. So it's like, so I'm thinking maybe he'll buy the $100 or $200 pocket knives for his clients. And he said, "John, I don't want to wear pocket knives. Got to wear paring knives." I'm like, "You want to give a bunch of dudes that are millionaires like kitchen tools? That's weird. Why?" And he said, "John, the reason I have more referrals and deal flow and access, I found out if you take care of the family and business, everything else takes care of itself." So long story short is I started to teach people how to use these stupid knives as a way to open doors and as a way to drive referrals. And so we started selling, instead of one set, I would sell 100 of these $3,000 sets. And Cutco's worked with 2 million reps in 70 years. We became their number 1 rep in the history of the company by the time I was a senior in college. So I was like, med school, I'm not, sayonara. Started calling it the Ruhlin Group, which now is Gift-Ology Group. But I'm like, I'm going to make the entrepreneurial leap and see if there's a business around this. And that was 20 years ago. So it started with Cutco, though. I mean, I don't know if you know the background of the company, but I mean, they're a $300 million handmade in New York. The founder of Uber, Travis, his first job when he was 18 was selling knives.
Not only that, there's like a lifetime warranty or guarantee.
I mean, like one of the best warranties in the world. I mean, we've had people that had come across that, like during the flood down in Katrina, they lost their house. They write a letter to Cutco. "Hey, all I have is this one left. I found this one." We had a whole set. They'll send them, like, they take care of, there's people that take advantage of it, but in general, like, they're the guys that that run the company, there's good dudes. They care about the community. There's about 800 employees up there. It's the Cutco YMCA. It's the Cutco Theater. Like, they're just good people, and they build a great product.
Faith-based?
Yeah.
Are they?
Yeah, but not out there with they're super low key with their faith, but they definitely, the CEO and founder, the family that owns it, runs it. There's no question that faith is a part of it. They're not as out there like a Chick-fil-A or somebody like that, but they, I mean, the average person that works there has been there for like 35 years. I mean, they just,
Well, it's a good boot camp for sales. I'll tell you that.
oh my God. What they don't realize, in my opinion, is that they are the best sales training and personal development company for college kids in the world. I mean, they recruit 60,000, 70,000 a year. And if you can go out and sell knives in somebody's home, I mean, that's like, I don't know if you've ever had Hal Elrod from Miracle Morning on your show, but the amount of people that have gone on to be CEOs of companies that started with Cutco when they're 18, and they'll look back and say, without Cutco, like that taught me perseverance and grit. And it's like the guys that sell Southwestern books door to door, Rory Vaden and those guys. There's nothing you can't do if you can sell knives or books in somebody's home that you've never met before. That's for sure.
Dude, it thickens your skin, gives you sales skills. And not only that, like I said, dude, I didn't know. I thought Cutco knives were like shit brand. Oh, those are the ones they're hawking door to door.
Yeah.
But dude, turns out like they're my, I can't, like, I love my Cutco knives.
People make fun
They're
of it.
sharp. I don't know how they're better than other knives, but just the way they feel in your hand, they're quality made.
Yeah.
They look good.
There's 70 to 80 steps per knife to make one knife.
I'm gonna get 1,000 Cutco agents on this, because one time I talked about Cutco on this podcast, dude. I literally had 500 people being like, "Yeah, they're Cutco dudes. They're everywhere, man."
There's a strong, I mean, the guys that are at like the booth or whatever else, I mean, they'll do $100 million in revenue this year, like at fairs and shows, and that part of the division. I mean, they have an online division and a military division. They actually make the knives for, they own the K-Bar brand, which is the big Marines brand, but they've diversified into other areas. Costco, they huge program inside of Costco.
They make hunting knives.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So we just got the kitchen deal.
The full, I mean, if you look at everything that Cutco makes, there's probably 250 between knives, barbecue tools, silverware, cookware, gardening tools, and everything that they make has the exact same guarantee. If anything ever fails on it, even if, like, my mom grew up one of 13 kids, she'll go around to garage sales and auctions and find beat up, broken in half Cutco knives. She'll buy the box for $2. She sends it back to the company, and I have 68 first cousins on that side of the family. They all get Cutco, but she bought it for $2, and it's like $1,000 set now that she gives as a wedding gift, because she knows that the brand will stand behind it. No receipt, no, it's it's a year past service.
Is that your mom scamming Cutco?
No, I mean, they stand behind the product. And so, yeah, I guess at some level, when you're one of 13 kids, the hustle.
Yeah.
Like you gotta go make things happen.
Like Nordstrom's return policy used to be, they changed it because people just kept getting them.
Well,
But
I think
like,
Nordstrom struggled.
They would return anything for any reason, dude.
Yeah.
And I knew people that would buy shoes from Nordstrom, wear it for about 3, 4, 5 months, and then return them and get a new pair.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you kidding me, dude? This is real. They'll return them. They don't ask questions. And for a while, it made them very popular, but it's not like that anymore. Well, but Cutco, it still is, dude. People told me stories where if you see this in a garage sale, buy them and you can replace them.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, send in an old one. They don't care if it's yours or whatever, but they will replace it. They're the best company ever. They don't ask no questions.
No, they take care of you. The challenge, I think, with Nordstrom, when you deal with the retail public, I mean, I don't think they adapted well to e-com and other things. I don't know that, Nordstrom's struggling. I don't think it's because of their return policy. I think that most of the time, there's 2% of people that are douchebags that'll take advantage of the system. But most companies build their entire system of taking care of clients around the 2% versus taking care of the 98 that are like, the amount of people that are buying the $10,000 set for themselves and then buying it for their kids and their grandkids. And so I think if you can build a culture of taking care of the client and doing it the right way, they benefited way more than the handful of people that take advantage of it.
Dude, where can people hire you to speak, because you speak all over, man. You got you best-selling author, speaker, consultant, agency. You're a man of many talents.
JohnRuhlin.com.
You will speak though, right?
Yeah, we cap it. I got 4 little girls at home, so I cap it 20 engagements a year. And so, yeah, I mean, we've spoken in Australia for Volkswagen and Audi. Anybody that's in the high level relationship building business, like there's a lot of guys that are sales experts. There's a lot of guys that are marketing experts or leadership experts. The idea of using generosity and gratitude as a competitive advantage in business is kind of a unique little niche. So yeah, we speak a decent amount, but that doesn't scale very well. And my wife likes me home, so I say no to most of them. But if it's the right opportunity, the right stage, absolutely.
Yeah, well, I just put it out there. The Bomb Squad can decide. I know that, hey, if you're a cheap ass, you don't want to have them do it, or you're just not big enough yet, get the book. You give them the full recipe.
Yep.
You want them to come speak at an event or do some speaking at some corporate deal to where, that's kind of going to help. Like in my mind, like any sales agency needs to know how to gift. I'd be having you speak at any sales conference because it's hand in hand. If you can teach a regular entry-level sales rep how to start thinking and listening, even for your company. Like maybe they're not the gift buyer, but they're the ones talking to the customer. They're the ones noticing if they have a dog. They're the ones making this. And then, it doubles, triples sales. It grows relationships.
Yep.
And I think relationships are the new currency. Personally, I think relationships are more important in my book than money, because I have a saying that says, if you value money over relationships, soon you'll have neither. So I say value the relationship. It's just a lot of people don't know how. They're a little bit of a cheese ball. Like that guy that sent me that shirt, God love him. He is a nice guy.
Bless his heart.
But he just wasted whatever that cost him, and he doesn't even know it. Plus he had to ship it, and I'll never wear it, and it'll end up probably at Goodwill. Yep. Now, if he's thinking, well, someone's going to wear it, nobody knows what that logo means.
No.
And not only that, how often do you see a shitty pen and go, oh my God, I think I need to talk to that company?
Said nobody ever.
It's branding, and it has to be massive to have any effect. Like if I could put Lightspeed stickers on all the stop signs at all the intersections in the world where everyone's like, what the hell is that?
Yep. That's guerrilla marketing. And I think people think they're guerrilla marketing because they give out pens and koozies and they have a best friend that every time they golf, they wear the shirt out of obligation to the friendship. But there's all of that goes on. So people are like, man, people love my stuff. And it's like, no, they don't. If you ask your top 100 affluent relationships,
they don't.
They don't. Because
again, I am an affluent relationship. I have affluent relationships. We don't. And I believe you 1,000%. And they need to believe you. Folks, I'm telling you, get down with gifting. Get the book at Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon's where most of them are.
If you want him to come, see if he can even help you, go to johnruhlin.com or at least follow him at John Ruhlin on social media. And that's RUHLIN. Dude, I appreciate you coming in.
It's been fun, man. Thanks for
I'm surprised you don't have a fucking gift for me. I should have just kept saying no, and eventually I'd have had some sort of gift to arrive.
Well, I tell people don't deliver the gift in person. Either send it ahead of time as a pre-experience or send it days, months, years later as a freaking out of nowhere, just drop the bomb, not in person.
You don't hear the bomb, but I just dropped the bomb. That's a good one. And again, it's funny too, because I was joking, obviously. But Neb came down, he says, yeah, John's here. And I said, oh, okay, I go up there. He goes, what does he talk about? I go, oh, he's excellent at gifting. I said, matter of fact, fuck, maybe he's going to have an old Giftology. Neb goes, I think he was empty-handed.
So that, but people are thinking.
Well, not only that, I didn't say, I said yes too fast. I should have said, son, it's getting, people are wanting to pay me to get on this fucking podcast.
Of course they are.
It's like, I'm going to have to just pass. Then Keith, sorry, buddy. And Brett Knutson, no, man. And then pretty soon I'd have got some Cutco nice with my quotes on them. I'd have said, who is this fucking John guy? You'd eventually got here. But dude, should you send a gift? Let's wrap up with this.
Yeah.
Should you send a gift strictly for the purpose of, like in this case, number one, you didn't need to bring a gift. Number two, if you brought a gift to get on the show and never got on the show, you're upset. So should you send a gift to try and get something in return? Or do you really believe you should send a gift straight with nothing in return, or nothing expected in return?
I think anytime if you give your wife a gift and expect something that night, how's that play out for you? Probably not real well.
Yeah, but I'm a unique situation.
I think in general,
it plays out for me every time. I'm a closer.
Well, you might be the anomaly. You might be.
I am.
But in general, when you give gifts with strings attached, it doesn't play out well. I think that as a last resort, if you want to give a gift, like I wanted to get to, who did I want to get to? Oh, Jeffrey Gittimer, 15 years ago. He wouldn't take my meeting. He wouldn't take anything. I sent him 18 gifts in a row. Finally, he reached out. It's a lot of money I was like just out of college. I've spent a crap ton. Not a good investment.
Yeah, but it works, dude.
It worked. But what's better is I invested in a relationship in Sonia and in Keith. And what 5 words from Sonia or 5 words from Keith could do more than 500 words or gifts or whatever else. So to me, if somebody wants to play the long game, invest in your warm market relationships and that relationship capital. I agree with you. Every business, I don't care what your business you're in, rises and falls on the value and the depth of your relationships. Invest in those relationships versus going and after your Dream 100 and sending trinkets and crap. It's the same thing with book launches. How many books you get of, that are like some form letter, bracelet, a hat or whatever. You don't want any of that crap. But if somebody would send you a really nice, thoughtful book with a handwritten note saying, hey, Brad, you really impacted my life. I quoted you in this book and just said, thank you. You'd be like, man, what a class act. I should bring that guy onto the show. Like, because somebody invested in you and said, thank you, versus like trying to use a gift as a manipulation. So I think it's fine to do gifting as a prospect, but know that you're trying to buy their attention and you better go all in on it. And you better be prepared to send something over the course of a year or years. You don't give one gift and then give up. If that relationship you really want and you don't have another way to triangulate to get to them, then sure, drip on them over the next 3 years. I mean, there's been some, like the Cubs took me 7 years of gifting before they became a client.
Well, dude, if you're dripping on your customers, you should go to the doctor.
It's a little different kind of dripping than what I'm talking about, but I would agree with you.
Dude, I'll bet you got a hell of a network only because, you're in this space. So everyone's coming to you for ideas. Are you the one coming up with them or do you got creative people working?
Both. I look at what people send to me. I learn.
What about gag gifts?
I think humor is awesome.
So if I sent you like a floppy dildo with your phone number engraved on it where you can't get rid of it, and if you did, it's got your name and phone number on it, would that be hilarious?
I think that it'd be hilarious. That'd be my next book, Anti-Giftology.
Because I do that to one buddy of mine.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious because every time he shows up, we hide a dildo with his personal information engraved on it or whatever in his bag. One time he went to the airport, didn't know we put it in his bag. They're like, sir, what is this?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I'll just throw it away. And it has his real name and address and phone number right on the side of it. Dude, he doesn't know what to do every time. Then he started trying to get us back. So like, to me, that builds relationships.
For sure.
So if you can't afford like real nice kick-ass gifts and you don't want to waste money on swag, which we were just educated not to do, think like humor. I think the most important thing we should take out of today is, think and put some thought into it. Put some care and emotion into whatever you're buying. I don't think it's a price tag. I think it's more thought.
1000%.
And by the way, if it's really successful people, price tag does matter. Like, dude, don't buy me a really thoughtful, stupid piece of clothing. I don't want it. But go be really thoughtful and get me a freaking really nice something that like, oh yeah, that's a nice, like, I like Louis Vuitton for some reason. Their shoes are comfortable. If someone came in here and thought something creative and it happened to also be Louis, cool. Yep. But it doesn't have to cost a lot of money.
No.
It just needs to be thoughtful.
The thoughtful thought.
And those are hard, man. Those are hard to come up with.
But the amount of people that, look at people when they're playing fantasy football. They'll devote days, hours, months to win a freaking stupid trophy or $100. If people would put that amount, even half that amount of energy into their relationships of planning and playing, all it is a game. It's a chess game, thinking 5 steps ahead and planting it's fun if you do it right. And it also, like, obviously making money is cool and all of that, but it's fun to see, like, when you nail it with somebody and like people are like, wow, and they're still talking about it years later and their spouse doesn't even know you and they're asking about you. I mean, that, you've won, A, and B, like, that relationship's going to be in your corner no matter what happens, no matter what comes down the pike. Like, the people that are actually in your corner. Like, to me, like that, yeah, it's not, but to your point, it doesn't come down to price tag. It comes down to going all in on the thoughtfulness.
Folks, you heard it from John Ruhlin himself. Don't believe him? Disprove it. Go out and buy some badass gifts, use some fucking thought, and see what the relationship does. I tend to believe him because I've seen it work. It's worked on me. So I'm glad you spent time with us. Guys, johnruhlin.com, @JohnRuhlin, and Giftology. Make it happen. Till next time, share this out. You might not be the one that needs it. Someone else does. Keep it real.
Dropping bombs with the real Bradley. Subscribe now.